Hey guys, got the Dragon here again with Dragon Works, and I was doing a little bit of body work on this 79 GS 850 tank. This project's been going on forever, so I need to get on it and get it done. I was doing it last fall, longer than that actually, but last fall I was into it heavy, and then I got real busy with customer stuff and it got put on the shelf for a while. But anyway, it just made me think of a couple things. This, you may or may not remember, where you can back up. When I first got this bike, this tank, the bike had been wrecked or it fell over or something. And the tank was all smashed in. So I had to get all the dents out. And then I did some fiberglass work on it. And right now what I'm doing is, I mean, you don't want to have to do this, but sometimes it's necessary. This is body filler. I just got to skim all over this thing here because after the repairs, I want my lines, my body lines to match up. So that's basically what, what happens when you repair metal. You're going to lose these nice creases and corners, so you have to bring them back in. That's kind of what they do on all those really beautiful classic muscle cars you see when they do gapping on the panels. They basically just fill them solid with body filler, and then you take a grinder and you cut a little gap in it, and then you sand it so the gap is even, because they never were even from the factory. So if you ever walk up on a perfect 69 Z28 Camaro and the body gaps are perfect, you know that's not factory. So quick tip. But anyway, so yeah, what I'm trying to do is get the same contour that's, well, let's say, and I'm a little embarrassed of my mess here, so I'm trying to stay close quarters. I got stuff all over the bench here. But anyway, this line was never damaged, so I want that exact shape, that angle, the width, and everything down both sides, and that's why I've gone over this. This is like the third time. So I just skimmed it again, and then right now I'm just kind of cutting it in, so to speak. I'm shaping it, and I can see like right there's a little high spot. That's probably where, when this got smashed, this panel raised up a little. So I'm going to end up taking that down a little. But after the shaping, like I just did, then I take glazing putty, like I got here. It looks like crap right now, but that's just because it's globbed on there. It's real thin stuff, just to fill in tiny little cracks. But after you get the shaping done, like I did here, then you take the glazing putty and you actually blend the filler back into the sheet metal and just taper that out, feather it out, and you won't see it. But one thing I thought about pointing out, some of you who want to know how to do it, again, I originally started these videos for YouTube and for people that may need help doing stuff. So a lot of times my videos are just shot showing how to do something or how I did it or whatever. One day I'm going to get a photographer and you can watch me work, but I'm always by myself, holding the camera with one hand and trying to work with the other. But one neat little trick I learned to keep everything flat and straight is, if this area here is still good, it matches the other side, it's pretty much stock, as you want to call it, then you can lay, and sorry about the lighting, you lay your block on something like that, like real flat. So right now it's not rocking, it's real flat. And of course, when I didn't have the camera in my hand, I grabbed this block with both hands so I can keep it perfectly flat. And then you just bring it down the panel. And this is one of those things where, let me back up here. Technique is everything. So whenever you see people sanding, you always see this. They have no idea what they're doing. That's why it turns out the way it does. And if you watch Chip Foose and Overhauling, you'll see guys, they'll take, when they sand, it's full control. Sometimes it's real melodic type stuff, but that's exactly what it takes. Now you can speed up, but you never want to be doing that. You got to actually follow it. So that's how I find out the shape of it. Just same thing like right here. This is terrible camera work, but stick with me. So what I basically have is this old foam sanding block, and it's all worn out, but I keep them, and then I just wrap some cheap sandpaper. When I'm doing this part of it, where I'm forming the filler, I just use some cheap rough sandpaper, Harbor Freight or something, and just knock it out real quick and then get your good sandpaper out. But it's the same process on this tank. This tank has, it's pretty much like combination curves, compound curves to it. So you just want to slide your block along the good part, and then that will shape this other side, kind of like when they make a spare key at Walmart, they use the one to make the other. That's kind of what you're doing here. It's like you use the tank as your jig and you keep it flat, and that gets your shape the way you want it, you know. So it's, this surface is flat across, and then you kind of curve, you do a compound motion where you go down and then you curve and it starts blending it in. You can see where your high spots are and your low spots. And look, that's going to be sanded off right there. That's still a little high. So then what happens is, well, that's because I haven't finished this part. This is about done right here. You can see how good it blends in. But then, like I said, I'm going to take that glazing putty, and then what you do is you blend the spot that you filled, because I wanted to get this line done. I want it right. So once that's right, then I'll blend this area, feather it out even more to where you can't even see it. So the whole purpose of this is, I've had this done a couple times, and since this tank was repaired and the metal work, you know, was done, I pounded all the metal back out through the hole and other means. And then there were some areas that were fiberglass and body filled. Okay, but every time I was done, this line coming down here, I didn't like it. So that's basically why I'm skimming it now. I want to get this line. See, I've already done this part. This is all sharp. And that's what this will look like when it's done. Now, this one spot right here, I'm going to put some glazing putty, and that little deep spot, glazing putty, that's air bubble. And that's where I didn't get enough material on thick enough. So I'll go back over that and finish shaping it. But I'm finally getting my straight line here that I want. And then I go off of that line, like I was telling you, I'd lay my block on this contour here, and I'll bring that down, and that way I can shape that contour. And that's how you do it. So yeah, it's a terribly boring video, but again, also you're going to see the before and after. Like I say, this isn't really ideal, but if you see, you know, like American Chopper, Jesse James and all that, them guys would build some tanks out of hand, pound them with a hammer, put them on an English wheel and all that. After all that, then they would still just cover them with body filler and sand it off, because that's the only way you're going to get them really flat. Otherwise, the metal will be all, you put gloss paint over some wavy metal and it stands out like a sore thumb. So that's exactly what this is for. This is going to look beautiful. It's applied very well, so it's not going to ever come off of there. It'll last the life of the bike. But that's just I don't know, it's a quick tip, and just to show you a little bit of what I'm doing on this bike. I got to get back on it so I can get it done. All right, guys, don't look like much now, but stay tuned. She's going to be gorgeous when she's done. Dragon says, peace out.